Afternoon, people. Hope you are well. Big up to all of you for being here. Big up to everybody who's been a part of this channel. Please make sure you do me a favor and hit the like and the subscribe button. Gonna do some afternoon content just because there's a few defensive options that Arsenal are looking at. Literally just been looking myself on Twitter and on the internet just to see who Arsenal are linked with. And it just seems weird that we're looking at defensive options first, but so be it. We're going to talk about the three defensive options that we are linked with today fairly heavily. Whether you believe some of the reports in terms of the sources or not is a different story, but I can only share the information that's come today. We're going to go through those three defensive options. We're going to ask the question, do we need a centre back or do we need a fullback? That is a serious question. A lot of people are debating about this, and there's quite a good debate. There's quite a few people that are very torn on whether we need a fullback, right back, or left back, or a centre back. And should they be left or right footed? Lots of questions. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the blow that is, of course, Xavi Simons, who will no longer be linked with Arsenal because he has agreed deals with another club. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And I'd love to get your thoughts on where you want us to go next, because there's a lot of people that are saying they don't want us to look at defence first. They don't want us to look at goalkeepers first. Some people are saying the opposite. Literally, go and get your backup goalkeeper, go and get your backup defender, and then spend most of your time looking at how we're going to improve our striker and midfield options. So love to know your thoughts on that. Big up to the few of you that are here that are now in the comment section. Big up to James, big up to Lawrence, big up to Hyper Protagonist, and big up to everybody for watching. Also on catch up, if you do want to engage and put any questions in the chat, please do. We're here live, so anything you want to ask me, make sure you put a Q at the start of it. If you want to throw a super chat in, then please do. That will go to the front of the queue. Big up to all of you for joining. Let's talk about the options that Arsenal are linked with today. There's not been unbelievable amounts of names thrown our way in terms of defenders, and over the last few weeks, there's been not really heavily linked, but loosely we've been linked with players in that position. And I just want to get an understanding in the chat and from you guys about where you're at in terms of excitement in this position. Do we need to go for that centre back? Do we need to go for that full back? Do we need to look at who we're going to be selling first? There's a lot to be done in this defensive area that potentially we might need to look at who we're going to get rid of first, particularly that left back position. I think that's going to be a real key position for Arsenal this season with the comeback of Fury and Timber. Everybody's very excited about that. Thought he looked really sharp when he came on in his last game against Everton at home. And I think whenever I've seen him, he's been one of the better players on the pitch. I have to say, I thought this signing was going to be exciting. And last season, it got taken away from us cruelly on the first day of the season against Nottingham Forest. And if you remember, kept him out for the majority of the season. And then, of course, he did get to make an appearance on the last game of the season. But Jurriën Timber was probably our best player in pre-season last summer. He was definitely our best player in the Community Shield. And I think at left back, it was something that potentially surprised a few people, because I thought, like many, that he would start and be our cover for right back and right centre back. But starting him at left back was something I just did not see. He's very versatile, very comfortable on the ball, great going forward as well as defensive duties that he's got. And I just think he's an all-round really good footballer. So at the age of 23, we've got ourselves a really good player there who I think will go on to be having a bright future, hopefully, at Arsenal. So I'm really interested to see what we do with Timber. But the cover for Timber is an interesting one. Is it Zinchenko who gives us a little bit of a different option, or are we looking to move him on? Do we find a place for Kieran Tierney, or is it just not his time and Arteta doesn't like him? Tavares is still with us. We've got to find a club for him. We can play Kivior there, who he kind of likes in terms of a centre-back that can play full-back. I think Pep Guardiola likes that also, something that Mikel Arteta has brought into his style of coaching. So left-back's going to be an interesting one. I don't think we need another left-back. I'll put it out there. I think we've got Timber and Tomiyasu. I think we've got Zinchenko that can give us the inverted role. I think we've got Kivior that can play there. And Tavares and Tierney, I don't really see as a future at Arsenal. I think they'll be sold. So I don't think we need another left back on top of that. I also don't think we need another right back. Ben White and Tomiyasu are both there. Timber can play there as well. So for me, if I had to choose one, it would be a backup centre back. And that backup centre back would be used to cover for William Saliba. So I don't feel personally like there's any definite kind of position out, a player out there, that Arsenal should go get, because I would like Diamande. I like the look of Mark Guehi, but really, are they going to come to Arsenal to sit on the bench? They're going to be a lot of money. They're going to cost 50 or 60 million. Are they going to come and sit on the bench at Arsenal? I'd love that, but I don't think they're going to. I don't think they're going to. I think Diamande will look at the scenario at Liverpool and think, yeah, I think I can partner Kenyatte when Van Dijk goes. I think Mark Gare, he might look at Manchester United and go, yeah, do you know what? They're looking at Dijk. I can go partner him. I don't think they'll be looking at Arsenal to say, I'm not going to get ahead of Gabriel and Saliba, but I'm happy to sit on their bench until one of them gets injured. So that's the scenario we've got. And that's why I did the show yesterday about how we can actually get an understanding of how hard this might be to go and get some backup centre-back options. And, of course, the goalkeeper situation as well. Big up to all of you in the chat, but we'll big up most of all to this guy. Absolute legend. Big up to Max. You're a hero, my bro. Thank you so much for this super chat. You are a legend, sir. He says, hey, Dan, I want us to get Raya sorted and a backup goalkeeper once Ramsdale is sold. If he leaves, is it the priority? Striker is the priority, plus midfield, and then a Saka Martinelli rotation, and then a centre-half that feels right back and left back, similar to Tomiyasu, that overlap and invert. Listen, the positions you're talking about, Max, I think will all look to be filled. We're linked with positions at those positions. We're linked with a number of players. I think the goalkeeper scenario is pretty much sorted. I think Ramsdale being sold will be the only thing left to do. Other than that, getting in the goalkeeper situation for a backup, because David Raya is going to be the number one, bro. I said, and it was an unpopular opinion, I said that I would go and get Diogo Costa and make him the number one. But David Raya has been signed as the number one. Ramsdale, for me, and this is serious when I say this, if we was to sell Ramsdale, it would have to be for 30 million plus. Otherwise, I'd keep him as the backup. Because we've got to get money for this guy. We can't be just selling somebody because we believe he's second choice and might not want to sit on the bench now. We paid 25 million for him 2 years ago for a relegated side. We have to now go and push forward with money that is in the region of 30 to 35 million for Aaron Ramsdale, which, by the way, is a very good signing for somebody. Ramsdale's a very good goalkeeper. So unless someone's going to be paying that, I ain't selling him. That's for sure. I ain't selling him. So that's the goalkeeper situation. Striker as a priority. I think midfield and striker will be a priority. I think that Victor Gyökeres is the guy that we are deciding upon now. Somebody put a source, I think it was Robbie actually, saying that we have decided on our Victor, which is something I said a couple of weeks ago. Which Victor do we go for? Victor Osimhen or Victor Gyökeres? Looks like Gyökeres is more heavily linked with Arsenal. Whether that is to do with wages, whether that's to do with the actual fee, I have no idea. Whether it's to do with the player they like. I think he's got attributes that will really suit Arsenal. I think he's an all-round striker. I think he's a very, very good player. And I like what I see. I thought he was brilliant in England. I think he's been really good in Portugal. And I'm sure that he can come to the Premier League and cause absolute chaos. So let's watch that one very, very closely. As for the midfield option and the wide player option, I agree with you. I think that Joshua Kimmich is one that we're linked with. Obviously, he's linked with Man City as well. And he might even stay at Bayern Munich. Who knows? Then we've got to look at the rotation on the wing as well. Because for me, Martinelli and Trossard are fine on that left. But Saka is on his own. Reece Nelson looks to be going out of Arsenal. So we're going to have to get somebody in, whether it's Eze, Pedro Neto, Nico Williams, or Bakayoko, who's been linked over at PSV. We need to look at that option. And then the centre-back situation, we're going to talk a little bit now with right-back and left-back in terms of versatility. So, Max, I'm with you, bruv. Much appreciate the super chat. Any of you have any questions, please put in a super chat, or, of course, just put in a question and put a Q at the start so I know that it's a question. Big up to Max for the super chat, though. Make sure you go follow AFC Max. Okay, let's talk about some of the options then, shall we? Because we are linked, of course, quite heavily with Calum Fury to start with. And I mentioned it this morning that Arsenal were in pole position. And that's come from AFC Stuff, who is quoting from Di Marzio over in Italy. Now, some people don't believe he is massively, massively reliable, but a lot of people follow him. Enough people follow him anyway to see that he is fairly respectable. It says that Arsenal are in pole position to sign Ricardo Calafiori and are getting closer and closer to a deal. PSG, Chelsea and Bayern Leverkusen have all got in touch regarding Calafiori, but Arsenal have presented a more intriguing project and offer for the player to Bologna. Now, I think that what that means is that Arsenal are interested. Bologna feel that that's a good move potentially for him. And surely it means that Calafiori would be happy as well to come in to the club. Because I think that Calafiore's got to be happy where he goes. If he's got all these clubs coming towards him, he's looking at the options thinking, what project suits me? Where do I see my playing time? Where do I see my career going? What project is there? And I can't help but think in the back of my mind, and I said this morning, that he might be interested in staying or tempted in staying and in Italy. Juventus, I think we're looking at him. He's obviously at Bologna. Bologna losing a couple of players. Joshua Zirkzee being one linked with a move away. Now Calafiori. Thiago Motta has gone to Juventus. So I think with Calafiori, you've got to look at this and think, where do I go? Do I go to Arsenal, where I am a part of a squad that could be competing for trophies, to the similar age to me that we could grow together? Do I go to Chelsea and try and fight for a place there ahead of Baliashile and Fofana, who likewise are young defenders? Do I go over to Bayern Leverkusen, who I believe are getting rid of Jonathan Tah? I think they're actually looking at Mats Hummels. So it could be that he comes in there and is a good option for Bayern Leverkusen. Or does he go to PSG, who, of course, are going to be fighting in Ligue 1 for trophies? So I think he's got to look at where he wants his career path to go, what league he wants to play in, and where he's going to get his football, because he is going to sit on the bench at Arsenal. There's no doubt about it. However, he's versatile enough to play at fullback. He's a player that's like Kivior or Tomiyasu that can play across the back four. So that is what clearly interests Arsenal. Now, I don't know what the bid's going to be. I don't know if there's a bid agreed, but it looks like there's going to be between 25 and 35 million pounds is being rumoured. So I don't think that's a bad move for Arsenal. I think that's about right for a defender that we need at cover. You're not going to get anyone cheaper than that. So for me, I think it would be a good move. So that's one of the options that today is being rumoured and reported quite heavily. I think it's a good age. I think he's highly rated, and I think it would be a good move. But the reason I like it more than anything is because he is a centre-back. And I believe a centre-back is where we need to be bringing in. I don't want to be seeing any more loads of fullbacks coming into the club. I think we've got quite a few fullbacks, to be fair. Right-sided centre-back is an issue. If Saliba was to get injured. Gabriel, we have got Kivior, but again, some people are saying that potentially he might be tempted with first-team football elsewhere. So centre-back could be an issue. Gabriel and Saliba are not going to be fit to play every single game like they were just gone. Season just gone was unheard of. We saw Saliba get injured the season before. We've seen Gabriel get knocks before. They're very good. They're very durable, but let's be real. I feel we might have two of the best in Europe, but we might have to look at the backup there because they're not going to be fit forever. So there is other options. And today we are linked with a couple of fullback options. And I want to talk to you about those. This first one is the Feyenoord fullback. Now, he's mainly a right back, but he can play centre back and in defensive midfield as well. So this one could be rather interesting. I'm talking about Lutzeral Geertruida. Now, Geertruida is somebody that I do not know much about. He is the Feyenoord player that did well under Arne Slot, mainly plays as a right back, can play as defensive midfield and centre back. So similarly to Jurrien Timber's positioning, age of 23, Dutch professional footballer. And I think when you look at it, it's a player that won't cost us an unbelievable amount of money. Some people are saying that they're looking at a bid for this guy, preparing a 32 million euro bid, which I think is around about 26 million pounds, 25 million pounds, something like that. Is this a good one? Now, Liverpool are looking at him as well. Obviously, Arne Slot knows him very, very well. So you'd like to think that he would probably consider both options, but probably look towards Liverpool if he's happy to know that he's probably going to play a lot of football, because obviously Trent Alexander-Arnold is there at Liverpool and so is Van Dijk. Two players that people will look at, not their futures being up for grabs, but certainly Van Dijk aging and Trent Alexander-Arnold having no real cover at all. So you'd like to think from his point of view that he'd look and think that's very tempting for him. But also you'd like to think that Arsenal's tempting for him as well. And I think for me, because he's more right-sided, this one does make sense. Quite highly rated, very good player. Don't know much about the Dutch league, but from what we hear, reports suggest he's doing well. Won the league with Feyenoord. Excuse me, sorry, I've got a bit of indigestion today. So Geertruida could be a guy that Arsenal look at. And similarly to Calafiori, we are looking at similar price, I imagine, between that 25 to 30 million pound mark. That is what we're going to have to pay, guys, if we want a defender coming in. That's what we're going to have to pay. So let's see what happens there. Watch this space. Who would we prefer out of the two? Well, the one that's being highly rated at the moment is Calafiori. I don't know if Calafiori is a player that we would look at ahead of Geertruida, but both of those names are being mentioned today. Now, one thing's for certain, guys, we're looking at defenders. We are going to bring a defender in. My question is Is it going to be a fullback or a centre back? Well, the answer to that is it might be someone versatile who can play across the front four. Now, Geertruida has been playing at right back and centre back and in defensive midfield, and we saw that Jurriën Timber was doing exactly the same thing for Ajax the season before we bought him. Calum Fury, we are told, is a centre back, but he's left-footed and can play left back also. So I think this is why we're looking at those options, and I like that. I like the fact that we can bring somebody in to go, right, you're there. Actually, you can play there as well, though. What I do like is someone who has a position that can play in others. I don't like players that don't really have a position and just can play a little bit of everywhere. I don't like that. I like someone who's a centre back that can play left, or is a right back that can play centre back, or is a right winger that can play right back. Whatever it be, I think there needs to be someone that has a position and that can play in another couple that could be versatile. So that's where I'm at. Then, of course, we are linked with another player who is actually a left back. Now, when you look at it, he's not just a left back. He can play left wing back. He can play left wing. And apparently he can play attacking midfield. And when you look at him on Wikipedia, he's got a hell of a lot of positions. He's impressed in the Euros of 2024. I am, of course, talking about Ferdi Kadioglu from Turkey. Now, he is definitely impressed. There's no doubt about it. I think he's really been a player that people are starting to look at. 24 years old, 5'9". And if you look at him on Wikipedia, his positions are fullback, midfield, winger. So that means he really does have quite a lot to offer in terms of versatility. He is a left back. He is definitely more attack-minded, and he has got on the ability on the ball to look very, very calm and composed. Still have to say, don't know much about him, but I have been impressed when I have seen him in Euro 2024. And if I'm honest with you, with these Euros, I've started to look at players that we've been linked with. For example, Sesko, not had a good tournament. Kadioglu, not know much about him, had a pretty good tournament. And I look at the players like that and think, okay, I can see why we're linked with him, or I can see what he would bring to Arsenal. I like the fact he's comfortable on the ball, playing in multiple positions, etc., etc. So I look at that and I think, yeah, do you know what? We've got an opportunity here to really go for it and have a bit of a chat with about where we're at on each of these players. So that's what's good about the Euros. You can talk about how well they're doing or where they are at in terms of their club or their country. So Ferdi Kadioglu is a player that we are being linked with. Now, I don't know the rumour or how much, but West Ham and Fulham are also after Kadioglu, and I believe teams abroad are also looking at him. The rumour is that he's going to be, well, we don't know how much it will be, but the rumour that we're suggesting is it's going to be around about 30 million as well. Some are saying that it might rise to 40. It depends how well he does in this tournament, if I'm honest. A lot of people, rumours are saying that Arsenal were being told, must get this player. He's going to be quality. Get him for 30 million. Well, if he's 30 million now and he has a really good tournament, his price tag might go up. His price tag might go up to nearly 40 or 50 million, depending on how good he is for Turkey in Euros. So, I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see that. But do we need another left back? Do we need another left back? I mean, I did a poll last night in the chat and everyone said they prefer to get a left back over a centre back. And I can't understand why that is. Why would somebody want at Arsenal a left back when we have so many? I mean, Kivior's been playing there. Tomiyasu can play there. Timber is starting there. Zinchenko playing there. That's 4. That's without Kieran Tierney and Tavares. So let's look at our left back scenario and think, where's the quality? That's the next thing. People might go, yeah, but already got loads of left backs. None of them are good enough. Okay, cool. Well, Tavares isn't good enough. Tierney's definitely future isn't here. Zinchenko, I don't think is good enough. So that does leave you still with Tomiyasu, Timber, and Kivior. So do we really need another left back that's attack-minded, like Ferdi Kadioglu? I'm not too sure, man. Big up to Max, absolute legend. Look at this, brother. He's gifted 5 memberships. You are a hero, sir. Thank you so much. If you do want to be a member, you can click the like, the subscribe, and the join button, and make sure that you become a member to join the community and support the channel. Listen, there's only 37 likes, people, and there's nearly 200 people watching. Please do me a favor and hit that like button. That's all I ask. Hit the like and the subscribe button, and we're all happy. Absolutely free to do, and it really does help the channel grow. So please make sure that we hit the likes, because there's nowhere near enough likes for how many people are watching. So you're all being lazy. Hit the like button. It's free. Please, thank you, and thank you to Max as well for gifting those memberships. So Kadioglu is one. I'm going to do Max's super chat in a minute because it's about a striker. So stay tuned for that. We're going to talk about that very quickly before we go. But yeah, defensive players for me, a right-sided centre back would be perfect. Diamande or Mark Guehi are being mentioned. Not going to happen. Too much, too expensive. But I would be happy with some of the links we've had, Calum Fury, and of course Getruja. So for me, I think they're two links that we are potentially I could see as realistic, is what I'm saying. Obviously, Bologna and Feyenoord are two teams that I think would be accepting of a bid from Arsenal. Player would look at Arsenal as a club as an upgrade from those and a step forwards in their career. And I think that they would understand that they wouldn't just be guaranteed first team football because they've not been bought for £100 million centre half who's going to come in and walk into the side, or even as a 60 or 50 million like Mark Guehi would be, or of course Diamande. So I can understand the links. I don't know how excited it gets people. I think most people agree that we need a defender that is versatile. And maybe the option isn't just buy a left back or buy a centre back. Maybe it's buy a centre back that can play in a number of positions. And I think that's what Arsenal are trying to do. And I like that. I like that a lot. I think that's a really good thing. Before I bring this super chat up and talk about strikers before we close, I do want to talk about the Xavi Simons situation. He has agreed terms with Bayern Munich. Now, this is a really good signing for them. I'm a big fan. I know he was really good at Leipzig this season. He was really good at PSV the season before. And for whatever reason, PSG just don't see that he fits their future. And that is very strange for me because I think that he is a absolutely fantastic player. And I think he's really exciting. He can play in a number of positions. He's versatile. He can play right wing, left wing, attacking midfield, number 10. He's a very good footballer and one that I would have definitely liked at Arsenal. And I think this is the sort of signing that could be perfect to cover for both Ødegaard and Saka if they was to get a knock. So this is a very good piece of business for Bayern Munich. They've just got to agree a fee, but they've definitely agreed terms now. So it looks like he's on his way to Bayern Munich. So that is a big blow as far as Arsenal are concerned. The player I know we were definitely looking at, but I don't know how heavily we were linked with him. So let's see what happens. Listen, Max is also another legend because he's also gifted another 5 memberships to people. That is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for that, bruv. That means so much. I really appreciate that. And if you would like to be a member, then of course you can go to the like button, subscribe button, and then click join. Let's take this one from Max, which is another super chat, and it does talk about the striker situation. Max says, Dan, I saw us linked with Jonathan David from Lille. Now, I just don't think that Jonathan David is enough to excite me. I think he's a good centre forward, but I don't think that he's the one I would be looking at as, yes, Arsenal go and get him. He's not a player I look at and say, yeah, do you know what? 100% you're going to go and take Arsenal across the line. I would say that Tony would be better. I would say Watkins would be better. I'd actually be more excited by Boniface or Garassi. I'd be more excited by Dovbyk. And I'd definitely be more excited by Osimhen or Gyökeres. So I don't know that Jonathan David is the guy. Maybe he would be a good signing for somebody like West Ham. Maybe he'd be a good signing for a Palace. Maybe he would be a good signing for Brighton or Wolves. But I don't see his level as Arsenal. That's all I'll say. And I think he would have moved by now because he's actually been on form for a few good seasons now. So, yeah, man, let's see what happens there. But big up to Max for the super chats. Big up to Max for gifting those memberships. It's absolutely class of you. Really appreciate that. So, yeah, you're a legend, my bro. Absolute legend. Listen, we're going to leave it there. Tonight, I am back. Tonight, I am back at 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. Set your reminders. Hit the notification bell because you do not want to miss tonight's panel. It's going to be absolutely lit. We've got D and Don going at each other over Michael Elise. We've got Gunali and Lawless and Deji and myself. We are back. This is London, and we're going to be talking all things football. So please make sure that you do that, people. Make sure that you stay tuned. Make sure you click the like, subscribe, and notification bell. Make sure it is on so you don't miss a show. And we will see you tonight at 7 p.m. This one's going to be a really interesting one tonight because there's a few deals that are starting to get across the line, and we know what it's like with this panel. They're controversial. They're always getting at each other. It's going to be a lit show tonight. So please make sure that you join us at 7 o'clock. At 5 o'clock, I'm over on Lee Judges TV. So make sure that you come and follow myself and Lee there, talking all things football and all things Arsenal. And we will see you next time. Until then, hit the like on your way out. And as always, up the Arsenal. Laters, people.